Jesus is walking in a garden of bees. Mother is talking with the voice of the sea. Soft is the wind, making sweet love to me. Siddhartha is out planting trees. The sunlight sings a song of 10,000 wings. The grazing hen, the shining snake. I'm vanishing, I'm vanishing. I float Jesus is walking in a garden of bees. Here in the blossoms and the hills by the sea, songs of Melissa, the hum of the scenes are calling me back to my queen, to my queen, to my queen. sister, good to see you, dear. Morning, stranger, soon you'll find there are no strangers here. Hello, 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 hello. Different colors, genders, lovers, young and old, we shine. Greetings, salutations, friend, to your heart from mine. Hello, 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 hello. Our doors, our arms, our hearts are open wide. Those pesky fears and judgments, well, we've left those all outside. And here there's welcome and love. Hello, 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 hello. I think you're someone I'd like to know. Hello, 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 hello. La da dee, la da da, la da dee, la da dee.
My name is George Melton, and I'm your host for today's Sunday celebration service, coming to you live and in person from our sanctuary here in Palm Springs on this beautiful, unseasonably cool Sunday morning, for which we are very grateful. You've been listening to Jeff Kingfisher's original creation, Hello. So, as you know, we're so excited to be back in person after 14 months of various stages of lockdowns and whatever else they had going on. So we're really glad that you're here with us today. We are currently operating at just 50% capacity as per the state's recommendations, and that will change as the situation changes. We're using masks and social distancing, so keep that in mind. So on behalf of Reverend Eunice, our senior minister, your leadership council, and all of the people who for the last 14 months, the practitioners, Jeff, myself, and the various people, Steve Ferger, who have made this service possible, we'd like to welcome you to our service. So we also want to extend a warm welcome to all of those who are watching with us online at home on their devices, and all of you people here, and all of people out of town. So we have Rich and Bill in Illinois, we have Lori and Jeff in Miami, Terry Ann in Washington, Port Angeles, Washington, Terry in Seattle, Ron Simpson, he just moved from New Mexico to Colorado Springs, right? So we have people listening all around the country. So we want to welcome them to the service as well. So we like to begin the service each Sunday by reciting our mission and vision statement. You'll see the words up there, and if you'll read along with me, if you would. At CSL PS, we envision a world where oneness is cultivated, unity is lived, and reverence for all life is practiced, empowering us to thrive individually and collectively. And of course, we do that through the teachings of science of mind and spirit and the practice of unconditional love. So, we have a few things for you to be aware of real quick that's going on this week that you need to know. As you know, we're finally back live and in person with 50% capacity. To ensure everyone's safety, reservations are requested, and they will be accepted on a first-come, first-served basis. There was a little confusion. Some people thought they could sign up on Facebook, but you can't. You have to receive the e-newsletter. In the e-newsletter, there's a link. You go to that link, and it will take you to the reservation system. If you're over 90 years old and the caregiver of that person, you don't need to worry about making a reservation at all. You have an automatic reservation. You're grandmothered in, Cindy. The rest of you youngsters will have to go to the link on the e-newsletter. So this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., join Reverend Mark Accomando for Wisdom Shares and Sacred Practices as he facilitates loving kindness, mindfulness, and meditation. Mark will be sharing simple yet profound Buddhist practices that cultivate compassion and forgiveness and love of self, others, and ultimately the whole world. That's this Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. And now a word from our technological wizard, Jeff Kingfisher.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? I think you can. Yeah. I just wanted to let you all, to remind you all that we do have a sound and stream team underway here. We have a few people that have joined us, and I would just like to welcome any and all who would like to join us further. We're going to be doing our first training this coming Saturday, and it would be great if you can join us. I'm training people to do basically what I'm doing back here, which is streaming live to Facebook and YouTube, and also running the sound back here. We'll be doing it in pairs. It's really fun, and it's really creative. So if you guys are interested, please, if you're here, speak to me after service. If not, you can email me at the address right up there, jeffkingfisher@gmail.com. And yeah, so that's, I hope to hear from you, and here's George again.
Thanks, Jeff. On Friday evening, May 28th, this is a very special announcement. At 6:30 p.m., Reverend Mark Accomando will resume his live and in-person singing bowls and sound bath here at the center. The capacity for that is going to be limited. For the time being, only 30 people will be allowed. Reservations are required, and a $20 love offering is requested. You'll find the link to this on our website, cslps.org, on the pop-up page where all the links are. So it'll be very easy for you to make that reservation. And finally, a number of you have expressed interest in becoming co-creatives with our center, which is what we used to call membership here at CSLPS. The next orientation will take place in July. If you're interested, please pick up one of these. They're in the foyer, which will tell you everything you need to know about becoming a co-creator. And inside is a separate application that you can fill out and turn in. If you are out of town and watching us online from another location, you can call Margie in the office, and she'll be happy to mail you an application. So today, Patricia Minkle is our practitioner holding high watch during today's service. In just a few minutes, practitioner Mitch Alcorn will be offering today's reading and invocation. And Igea Grace Angel will be your host in the upper room for one-on-one prayer with a practitioner immediately after this service. But first, let's give a warm Palm Springs welcome to our two guest speakers this morning, Reverend Ed Tansey and Reverend George Stewart. So let's hear a little applause. Both Reverend Ed and Reverend George are ordained ministers for the Centers for Spiritual Living and are co-founders of the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston. Interestingly enough, Ed and George met while taking foundations class at the beginning of their journey through practitioner studies and ministerial studies right here at the center in CSLPS. They later married, and the rest is history. And they're here today to fill us in on what's been going on in their lives and what we need to know for the week ahead. So, welcome. So as we begin to shift the energy for today's service a little more inward, let's take a moment maybe to uncross our legs and our arms, our feet firmly anchored on the floor. And just take a moment as we collectively take a deep breath together, breathing in the love that is always in, around, through us, no matter the situation, no matter the circumstance. And we breathe that love in and we allow it to marinate through every cell of our body, through every point of our being. And as we breathe out, we send this love out around the world to all those places that are in need of a little extra love this morning. And we know those places very well. And so as we prepare for the practitioner moment, we continue breathing and finding our own rhythm, our own pace, as the music takes us just a little deeper.
In once again to this tempo we know. Deep in the body, gentle we go, and softly we hear the call as the silence between us falls, and we open a space and hold it until every heart finds a place, has its fill, and each wounded soul is healed in peace and goodwill. As the silence between us falls, and together we hear the call.
Good morning. I'm Mitch Alcorn, one of the many licensed practitioners here at Centers for Spiritual Living Palm Springs. And I am so excited. Look, there's people in our audience, in our sanctuary, blessing our wonderful sanctuary. Thank you. So glad you're here. So I have two readings for this morning. The first one comes from page 37 of Signs of Mind, written by Ernest Holmes. The thing works for us by working through us and is us, always. It cannot work for us in any other way. It spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle. But it can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. And the second reading today is from David R. Hawkins. In this interconnected universe, every moment we make in our every improvement we make in our private world improves the world at large for everyone. Simple kindness to oneself and all that lives is the most powerful transformational force of all. So just allow those words to settle in for a few moments of silence. followed by a prayer. The thing, that power that moves in, as, and through the totality of all it is right here, right now. It is in the sanctuary, feeling each one of us with that essence that is God. It is in each of us that are watching from home. It is this new hybrid expression of church, of service. And it is revealed through these words. It is revealed through Reverend George and Reverend Ed today as they share, allowing that divine expression, the thing itself, to be the voice from within. It is us. Community. I celebrate it. I raise it. I praise it. I call it good. And together we say, and so it is.
Everything beneath the sun breathes like a harmonium. Pure perfection has begun, shining like a midnight sun. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone. Let me be an instrument, guided by and heaven sent. May these grapes of pain ferment, alchemize to love's content, ever be a sacrament, knowing God is my intent. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. Rolling like a thundercloud, let me live my love out loud, standing for mankind and proud, baptized in a holy shroud. Peace be still and know me now. God is in all I have found. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. Oh God, I feel you all around. Oh, how you astound me with your grace. God, let me know your name. Hold me in the same breath as your word. Knowing what I'm here for, rowing on to distant shores. Oh, how you astound me with your praise. God in everyone, oh, spinning like a prayer field, turning like Ezekiel's wheels, nothing like a kiss seals the spirit I flowing from the infinite, God in everyone. Out of darkness I have come. I see God in everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, CSL Palm Springs. Wow. That in. Ooh, how emotional. How beautiful. So, for Rev Ed and I, this is a full circle moment. I actually asked him to marry me during the break in a class. On a cake in that corner. And what I would like to say at this point, part of our discussion, but I have to say this first. This is where my life began in 2002. And I'm thinking of the ministers that have made such an influence from this center, and it started with the Docs. They were an amazing energy, and then it was dear Reverend Matt, who I'm wearing these shoes in his honor, by the way, if you can see them. Anyone who knew Reverend Matt knew he was all about his shoes, too. You know, and I also am so grateful that they've been in our lives, and also for Patricia, who's holding consciousness. These were the people who were my first teachers here at Palm Springs, and I just wanted to bring that out and honor them. And where Patty is sitting is where I first sat in 2002 when I was tricked into coming to a place like this. And it was really right about where she was sitting, and then the tears started after I heard. So anyway, go ahead, Rev G.
Yes. So it's so wonderful to be here with you today, and just, you know, I was telling all our folks at Greater Boston, I said, hey, go to the page, click on the link, you can definitely see what's going on over here at Palm Springs, because we had our service this morning at 7 a.m., which of course is 10 a.m. on the East Coast. So I want to start with asking you the question, Rev Ed. In the science of mind, what is our true nature?
Our true nature is really all of the qualities that the divine is, because each and every one of us, we're made in its image and likeness, and we come from that creator. We're all expressions, unique expressions of the divine.
So our nature is the divine nature, is that correct?
Most definitely.
So if that's the case, right? Why do we suffer?
Why do we suffer? Because we don't realize, or we forget our true nature. We forget whose and whose we are, where we're from. Because that's all of the power, I feel, the thrust, that the wind beneath my wings when I do remember that.
It's true. It's true. So it's our misuse of this thing we call the law, right?
Most definitely. That along with not remembering our true nature.
Can you give some examples of how we somehow fall out of that alignment with that divine truth of who we are?
Well, at times we have resentments of the other people, resentments of ourselves, etc. What do you think, Rev G? That's just one example.
I think there are times when I fall into fear. And I love that Ernest Holmes said that fear is the antithesis of faith. So it's faith misplaced. It's putting my faith in the wrong thing. And remember, worry came up this morning in our talk at CSL Greater Boston.
Yes.
And I have to tell the story on my mother. I know she's in the ethers right now. And I used to say to her, and she gets so exasperated with me, I would say, so Mom, you pray, then why do you worry? Because you know, when you worry, you're praying for the wrong thing. She gets so mad at me. But she'd say, you're right.
So really, how many of you worry after you pray? I know I used to do it many years ago, and it always creeps up every now and then too, I must say.
So it comes down to that we're not living our God awareness. And you know, Michael Beckworth has a beautiful quote when it comes to that. He says, in God awareness, problems dissolve because there are no real problems. In the mind of God, there is only perfect patterns of existence and divine ideas. And if that's the case, then my true nature will get me in alignment with that. Would you agree? So, let's talk about mental equivalence. You know, we just taught a class at CSL Greater Boston called Mental Equivalence, one of the new classes at CSL, and I am telling you, it'll knock your socks off.
Yeah, that's a great class.
5 weeks of power. So, what is a mental equivalent, and how do we get it?
Well, a mental equivalent is an internal picturing. It's an internal picturing for our outer experiences. And we get it by going within and realizing the reality within, the capital R. And I always remember this in my SOM education, when they're talking about mental equivalence, it's like, use your 5 senses to help create what you want. You know, use those. So, you know, if I wanted a new car, let's say a Corvette, I would see myself in that Corvette. I would picture it. I'd put my foot down on the pedal, feeling that, you know, the thrust of that motor. And it was really like, you're really bringing it into your mind. And then what happens is, your outer experience must respond to your mental equivalent. Now, that is on divine timing also, which sometimes we forget. Like, you want it now? But no, that's not the right time. It will show up when is the right time, and that's something that we have to work at.
So what I'm hearing you say is that mental equivalent, or getting to the mental equivalent, requires spiritual practice.
Practice,
Right?
practice will get you to Carnegie Hall.
Practice, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes, yeah.
And if I'm responsible for what's going on in my world, then I need to really do my spiritual practices every day. That's the tough part, right?
Yeah. It could be. It could be. And I always say, build up your SOM toolbox. Get as many practices in there and change them as you so desire. But the thing is, do them on a regular basis and do them every day. I know that my day is not the same if I, for whatever reason, do not do some of my spiritual practice. And you could be a good testament of that, right, Rev.
I
G?
definitely
Yeah,
could.
yeah,
And when I do remind you that you're out of alignment, you get a little testy with me.
No, never.
As do I with him when he reminds me of the same thing. But that's the beauty of relationship.
Yes.
And we're all in relationship, whether it be a love relationship or just in life. You're in a relationship, you're even in a relationship with the divine all the time.
Yes.
We forget, and that's our human experience. But we are divine beings, and we have to always remember that.
Yes.
So what happens, Rev Ed, if the outpicturing is dark or limited, doesn't appear the way we expected it to? Anybody ever deal with that?
Anybody? Hello?
We've all been there, done that,
yeah.
right?
Well, okay. Two things could happen. There are two roads, I believe, that happens. You can either become a victim to the circumstance, or you can become a victor. You know, a victorious situation, you know, ending in that. So here's my point. You can look at the darkness, and if you become a victim of it, then it's not a pretty thing. When you can go within, be rooted in the truth of your being, your nature, and you have a choice of how you perceive the darkness. There are gifts in the storm, as that song goes, right? That we heard Faith Rivera sing.
Yeah, we used it this morning in our
and
service.
It's
yes,
like
the gifts the
there
storm
are
may
gifts in the storm. There are gifts in the dark, whatever you want to call that period. As there are gifts in the light, there is also gifts from the dark. The dark or the challenging times can really be a blessing if we perceive it as that, if we perceive it as that.
That's true, and I believe you have a story in regards to that, right?
Well, I have so many, I'm trying to think which one, because people who know me, I can go on and on and on, but here's the thing. All right, and I changed my story as I was sitting here this morning, literally, and I got very emotional sitting there, so I'm glad I'm not breaking down in tears right now, but here's the thing. My dark time was 3 years prior to 202. And it was two friends who literally tricked me into coming here one Sunday morning because they were concerned that if I was going in the same way that I was going, that I'd be dead. Because at that point, you wouldn't have wanted to know me. I was really at the low of my life in 2002. I was sexing, drinking, and drugging. It was not a pretty sight, honestly. And I sat right where Patty is, right around there, and I heard the dark speak. And I really had tears that formed and fell from my face. And I said, I want what they have, because I couldn't believe there was a group of people who believed in all that stuff, right? So from my darkness got me here. And in 2002, being at the low of my life, in 2015, I was a minister after all those years of work. But it took years of work. But it's worth it, everyone, honestly. So I changed my story.
You did,
many.
always shocking me and leaving me by the wayside. But,
Yeah.
So my story is interesting because, you know, sometimes we look at loss of a loved one, loss in our lives, and there's so much loss as we move through life in so many ways. And everything's a transition. Everything is in change. Well, for me, my story actually comes from the release and the letting go of two people I loved dearly to the transition process. Now, I could have been an absolute disaster. I could have fallen apart at the seams. Now, I'm not belittling what we go through when we lose someone we deeply care for. But for me, what was true was that I found, what is the gift that came from this? What is the gift that was brought to me? So with my first beloved, Dustin Brown, he brought me this philosophy. His energy joined with mine, and he brought me this philosophy. And my second partner, Jose, actually brought me this beautiful thing that I call my niece, Yelka, who is like a stepdaughter to me. She actually calls me Tia G. And if you understand Spanish, Tia means auntie.
How apropos.
But that's where the Rev G came from. So, but also the language of Spanish, which was a huge blessing in my life, to have multiple languages. And then to top it all off, although he's nervous because they call me the Black Widow, Rev Ed came into my life.
I don't drink his soup.
And that's a whole nother story that we won't go into here. But so this whole idea of non-resistance, I had to look it up, right? And in the glossary of the science of mind, Ernest Holmes tells us about non-resistance, and I want to share this with you. Fighting any adverse condition only increases its power over us because we are making a reality of it. Wow. Someone has said that the language of resistance is pain. Anybody know that one? But non-resistance finds the harmony of the universe and swings into its motion, going with the stream of power which nourishes and protects. Resistance is the offspring of fear. Non-resistance is the offspring of love. And what are we about here? Love. You know, what is it I've always taught, or we've always taught, and that's that there's love and law. Well, the law's automatic. I got to be the love. And then the law will respond to that.
I have a story
Oh boy, here we go.
concerning non-resistance, you know, and going with it, non-resistance and resistance. I also had a diagnosis some years back of cancer. And I'll tell you, when I did receive it, the first 2 days, everything I learned from practitioner training to ministry, out the window, poof, like, oh, I was the victim, I was the victim. But then I talked to myself and said, you know, Ed, come on, get real. You know, you guide people through all of this, you know, et cetera. Practice what you preach. So I really decided to not feel I had to resist the reality that was there. I had to befriend this and see what it was there to teach me. And for me to actually be able to say that in public the first time, that took a lot of energy because I said to myself, people are going to think like I'm like a loony bin. You know, how could I say that this cancer was a gift? It was a gift because I looked at it in a positive way. And I actually befriended it, said, please teach me what I need to know. And believe me, daily, hours of spiritual practice I dived into. I actually had 12 disciples, 12 different people who I shared the story with who were praying for me daily. And they were hand-selected. I had to make sure they would see me as whole, perfect, and complete. And they prayed daily. I prayed daily. Of course, Rev G prayed daily.
But I wasn't in the 12 disciples.
He wasn't in the
just so
12
you know.
disciples. He was an extra one. But anyway, here's my point. I didn't have the conscience, I got to fight it, I've got to fight it. So I didn't resist it. And I know today that's why I am cancer-free. And I learned a great deal from that. And that to me, also, when you do the spiritual practices and the rituals, etc., I know that the day before my operation of them operating on me, Rev G and I did a phenomenal releasing ceremony in our den in Rhode Island near the fireplace. We burned papers and all of this letters that I was creating through my spiritual practices. It was the most uplifting, probably one of the most learned experiences I have gone through because I did not resist it. I'm just sharing that with you. It helped me greatly. And one other point I want to make, what which I thought was good that you said, Rev G, we never minimize what one goes through when they experience a darkness, a loss, whatever it may be. We have to be, I think, realistic of saying, this is what's the outer experience is happening. So you look at it, you give it the energy you need to move on. It's only when you pitch a tent there that I feel it can do damage. When like Reverend Matt always said that, walk through the valley of death, do not pitch a tent there. That means get what you need to get and move on. Move on.
So you're saying don't buy a condo in the Valley of Death?
That's a good thing.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, don't buy a condo in the Valley of Death is a very good way to say it.
Indeed.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, indeed. So the point of all this, the point of us talking about this is that I found this information and I loved it. It was a part of the outline that for today's message. And a man named David R. Hawkins actually calibrated our consciousness, gave us calibrations of our consciousness from the lowest, which is shame, to the highest, which is enlightenment. Now, why is that important? You may ask, right? Why is that important? Well, because as we do our spiritual work, we're not just shifting ourselves. You understand that, right? We're shifting people around us. Because as our consciousness shifts, it causes a vibration, like the pebble in the pond, and that radiates out. Now, the thing that I really liked about this study that he found is he talks about when we do our soul work, which is what we call it when we teach class. We don't call it homework, because that's too tiring. We do our soul work. We lift our souls, our consciousness, our level of humanity. He talks about how that he found that the consciousness, when we are at a calibration of 500, these are the numbers that he gave to these things, which is love, interestingly enough, that we counterbalance 750,000 people on this planet who are radiating at a 200 or below. I just got God bumps thinking about that. So why am I so responsible to do my work? That answers it to me. I'm making a difference in the world by myself, because everybody's, oh, what can I do as an individual, right? We all say that. You do a lot. You do powerful work every time you take the time to do your spiritual practice. Are you reading the Science of Mind magazine?
Fabulous.
It's fabulous.
Yes.
It gives you, and this month, Christian Sorensen, oh my God, the man is powerful, but just lifts us up. All of these pieces, all of these spiritual practices that you learn in class, and if you haven't had class, take it.
Yeah.
It changes your life. I never thought I'd be a minister, and yet here I am. And you're a minister in the way that you show up in the world, and that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of our teaching. We don't have a dogma, right?
No, but I want to say one thing about how we show up in the world. I have to share my last quick story because it'll be when
Another story
in Massachusetts. When we were there, I had a prison ministry, and I would go to do a weekly class with a bunch of prisoners. I learned so much, wow, and they learned so much from the philosophy. But something that I coined, and it was so cute to see how they would play with each other in that respect. Do you want to be a thermometer as you show up, or a thermostat? Have you ever heard that story? Well, if you haven't, I'll just quickly say it. When we're a thermometer, we're a victim to the outside circumstances. So we just take it in, whatever, become that doormat. But when we're thermostats, we can change the temperature of what we want to accept as our own. So I would say to them, because sometimes they'd come in all, upset or whatever, are you acting as a thermometer or a thermostat? And they would get it. So I just want to throw that out to all of you. How do you want to show up? Be the thermostat, because you've got that power because of your divine nature, because of who and whose you are. And I will stop my story.
He keeps me on my toes. But it's a joy. It's a joy. So I'd like to do a quick little process. Now, this is not something that's going to resolve anything. So if you have something that is deeper, I definitely recommend that you speak with a minister or a practitioner and set up a session. But this is about taking a moment and know that you're fully safe right here and right now, that you're held in the infinite. And as you close your eyes, I want you to bring forward something in your life that may have been painful or dark or limited, knowing you're safe, knowing you're surrounded. And as you bring this image up, this situation, this circumstance, this individual, whatever it might be, I want you to imagine that you're being lifted up in divine love, lifted up to a higher level, and you're looking down on the situation. You are now in a higher consciousness, in a higher level of being. See this now through the eyes of love, and ask, what gifts may I receive? And as you receive the gift, even if it's not now, even if it's later, take that with you and let it ground you in the faith that you are held continuously in divine love. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, allow yourself to come back to this space and open your eyes. So we always like to leave you with something to do. So what do we want them to do, Rev Ed?
To look at the gifts that you receive from all situations in your life. Because if we look from within, you'll see them. You'll see them.
It's true. So look through the eyes of the divine and know that there is good in everything. You have to take the time to look for it. And so I think this is an awesome time for us to ground that for all of us. So let us begin prayer.
So coming from that intention, coming from that purpose, Rev G, I know that that one infinite intelligence, which is the only energy that exists, that is in, through, and as everything, everything in the seen and unseen form, its nature, who is the nature of everything, bottom line is love. It is love. It is respect. It is joy. It is wisdom. It is compassion. It is humor. It is abundance. It is prosperity. It is magnificence. It is joyous. And there is absolutely no place that this energy is not. It is uplifting, it is supporting, it is nurturing. And I am one with this energy, made in its image and likeness, and I uniquely express it. And as that is my truth, that is the truth of each and every individual in this congregation, each and every individual watching this, each and every individual throughout the cosmos and places unknown. Everything is one with each other, one with the divine, one with nature. And it is this oneness that brings about a wholeness for each individual. And this wholeness is a beautiful energy that uplifts the individual as well as all of humanity.
And so knowing this oneness right here and right now, experiencing it, feeling it at the very cellular level, knowing that this power is the power that is lifting each and every one into that power of resonating at that 500 level of love. And that this love is empowering 750,000 people who may not feel that resonation of love. Knowing that each one here is empowered to step into their spiritual practice in full and complete knowing of that freedom that that love brings. Grateful in knowing that this power says, yes, of course, it is done. It is done right here and right now, and my heart is overflowing with gratitude and thanksgiving in the knowing that it is already complete, that it is already fulfilled, that the divine mind already knew these words before they were spoken and has responded, of course, my child. It is the Mother, Father, God's good pleasure to give the kingdom right here and right now. I accept it with gratitude and thanksgiving. And I can let these words rest in that power of the law, knowing it is done, it is complete, it is fulfilled right here and right now. I say, blessed be, amen, ashe, aho, and so it is.
Oh, let's give some more love to Reverend Ed and Reverend George. Woohoo! Thank you so much. I got to go to their portable home, which is so elegant that they travel. It's a block-long RV. I swear to God, it's so huge, and it was so delightful. I had lunch last week, so thank you. Thank you for blessing us. Good morning, beloveds. It's so good to be with you as we start to move back into what it means to be a brand new community in our new fabulous, yes? Okay, so now it's time for our conscious giving. And I love this because really it's the consciousness you give from that is the amplifying, multiplying energetic. So I want to take a moment to anchor that consciousness. So breathe in and move to that place within your heart of hearts where you are absolutely that divine representation of God. You are God's idea of itself. Feel that beingness, that infinite abundance. Just breathe it in deeply. And now, through this sacred act of giving forth of our gifts, and we do this in every way, whether it's our financial gifts, our talents, our service, our positive affirmations, our raising each other up. Be really present that you are that divine representation. You are giving forth of the abundance of the universe. And so I want you to bless that which you are giving forth now as our ushers are standing up and ready to move among us. And those online, I'll work with you and text to give. Imbue that which you are about to give with all the gratitude in the world. And repeat along with me, divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God, as me. And so it is. Hello, hello. For those of you at home, you can text to give by opening up your cell phone, dialing 760-389-1333. And when you do that, now in the message say $, and the amount, and general. and that will go into our general fund. And if that's not okay, just mail in a check or go on our website. And whatever way, you will be blessed tenfold, for as we give, so shall we see. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen, amen. Boy, George is doing double duty together. Woohoo! We're going to have Steve take piano lessons, so when you are not here and he's doing the offering or the announcements, he can accompany us. All right, so we got so much going on, and we're just continuing to express and expand as we co-create this new hybrid type of community, virtually and in person, knowing that did you know we have members now, co-creators in, I think, 3 different states. Isn't that great? Yeah. So here's George to close us out.
So thank you, Reverend Eunice. Thank you, Reverend Ed. Thank you, Reverend George. That was very enjoyable. Thank you to all of you who are here with us today, who came out in person to be here. Thank you to all of you who tuned in at home on your various devices. No matter where you are, we're glad you tuned in with us this morning. Just a reminder that Igea Grace Angel will be available for prayer in the upper room immediately after this service on Zoom. Will there be people here in person as
yes,
well?
we're going to any practitioners or ministers that are on hand. We will take them to a different location. We got to learn to set up for the classes from our chapel so we can use that again.
This is part of like learning to do it both online and in person and how to make that work.
So we're going to have available practitioners now doing one-on-one.
And don't forget to make your reservations for the service. You do that online. If you get the weekly e-newsletter, and if you're a member, you should be getting that every week. There's a link on there. You just
and
go
we're
in.
going to now put that link on the pop-up page too.
Okay, and so it'll be
really
on the website
convenient.
as well, not Facebook. So some people were looking for Facebook, but there isn't a link there. So that's what you'll do. What else do I need to tell you? That's it. So we'd like to end the service today with our closing affirmation. The words are up on the screen, and you can follow me if you would. I am at home in the heart of God. My life is anchored in truth. I live in a consciousness of peace. I can never be separate from my source. I am living love. Hallelujah. Amen. And so we leave you today with another one of Jeff's creation called Bees. So from all of us at the center to all of you here and all of you at home, we see you, we honor you, and we look forward to being with you again next week.
Bees on a breeze float bloom to bloom, to feed all the wee ones home. In trees, in their wax hexagonal rooms, on their knees, little baskets gather, carry rose, blackberry, lupin, fig, and lime, while gentle winds breathe out and in, and branches bend in time. send their seeds of love. A breeze frees my heart with sweet perfume, and I see with what ease they come.